Keyboard Warriors Hot Takes segment. Barrel Theory Beer Company. Again, folks, get out there, support them. I know there's no Wild games right now, but those of you who are out in St. Paul, go down East 7th, just a 15-minute walk from XL Energy Center, and March. Be ready for it. It's pretty much all home games throughout March, and they have the best beer offering at XL Energy Center. You can get their Crowler of the Day at section 105. Get there fast because more often than not, it's sold out like midway through the first period, sometimes before the game even starts. Otherwise, you can get their Raindrops IPA on tap, sections 112, 217, and C36. And of course, right now they still have their Shooter McGavin in 4-packs. Grab them from the tap room, take them home. It is honestly one of my favorite IPAs. If I could only have one the rest of my life, I don't know which one I would pick, but that one would be in the discussion for what I would pick. Z, a couple hot takes here. We can go any direction you want with them, but first one for me, is hockey overtaking basketball?
Many are saying this. Again, we were talking about this recently, and by recently I mean like a couple hours ago. I cannot believe that USA-Canada game went the way, or at least the first like couple of minutes went the way that went. First 9 seconds went the way those first 9 seconds went at the exact same time as the NBA had the most confusing and ridiculous looking skills challenge of all time. I still, and again, I don't actually plan on finding out what the event was. But when I watched the video with no sound, and it was literally guys running around, taking the basketball off the rack and just like flicking it. I don't like, it wasn't towards a basket. There wasn't a target. It was just like throwing. It just looked like they were just like how fast can you throw a bunch of basketballs in the air? And meanwhile, what was that again? Like just under 6 million viewers of that game live. And it was like just an incredibly entertaining hockey game start to finish. And like, you see how many people are talking about it still. And I mean, it's just been a great tournament overall, but it was so funny that All-Star weekend was going on in that specific event at the same time as there was 3 fights in the first 9 seconds of USA Canada. So yeah, I'd say we're there. And actually, and tonight, or was it tonight or the other day? I don't even know if it was tonight or last night, but like, it's like LeBron James cannot play due to general soreness. He can't play in the All-Star game. And then like the camera goes to like Brady Tkachuk throwing absolute bombs, hitting everything that moves. And it's just like, this is unbelievable. What a league.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's also a guy that like we don't need to derail and talk about LeBron James, but the recent talk with him has been like, it's crazy that he comes out and basically tells everyone he's the best when Michael Jordan has never once said that about himself, which is pretty indicative of who actually is the best. But I digress. Yeah, it's crazy too. A lot of people wanted the Four Nations to be like a different time of year. And the biggest argument was like, we don't want injuries mid-season derailing people's cup runs, which I get. But there's a flip side, which is competing with football. And everyone's like, oh, why does that matter? Like it matters. It absolutely matters. You don't get these numbers if it's competing with football in any capacity. And again, no football, no baseball, and going head to head with basketball in the worst light we've ever seen basketball. On top of the fact that like the reason that basketball has largely been more popular than hockey outside of accessibility and it being easier for people to play, it's cheaper. It's like, you don't have to get ice time, but the openness and availability of players, like they're way more vocal, they're active on socials, whatever. And a lot of the guys you're seeing here, especially for Team USA, like they're out there. Like all of the Jack Hughes interviews are going viral right now of him just like shaking people off. Like, why are you asking me that? My favorite one is someone asking him like, so have you taken Luke under your wing and like taught him about being a pro off the ice, not just on the ice? He's like, he just got in last night. So no. Like, I love that kind of personality though. Like we always get mad when people don't say anything. When they do, we somehow get mad too. Like, I want these players to have personality. We're starting to see that, especially from the US kids. And I'm not saying that we'll legitimately overtake basketball, but I think it's going to be a lot more of an even discussion in the next 5 years than it has been in the past. Like, we have been second fiddle to them for a while. I think we're going to start to see that shift. And it's crazy that this tournament that everyone thought was like a gimmick is going to be the inflection point for it. I love it.
Yeah, and like a part of that too is like they just released the first like Amazon series too. So like you are like the more access that we get to these players, the more personality we can see. Like they are a bunch of funny bastards in the first place, but like as the younger players are just like every year the better players are younger and younger. And they're willing to show more personality. And if that stays like embraced by the NHL, and like you said, the accessibility part of it, and they're just hopefully can like continue to get better with like advertising. It's still crazy to me that they, for this event and like for like the Winter Classic and all the stadium series, they wait for like a week before. Like the Winter Classic sometimes they're a little bit better. This year was brutal. I forgot that the Winter Classic was happening when it happened. But like, as long as they can continue to like get better with like marketing stuff, because it is interesting where it's like the game, they don't really have to worry about it being more entertaining because it does get more and more entertaining every year. Especially like just the speed of the game, scoring's up. And I mean, like we see how much people love like the fighting part of the game is like that was a huge part of like the first 9 seconds of that USA Canada game. But yeah, no, as long as they continue to keep getting better with like the marketing stuff and the players are more willing to be accessible to the media. Yeah, I definitely think like it's definitely a possibility that like they'll at least close that gap. And especially with like honestly basketball too, just like the game's changed a lot where it does feel like it is more personality than the actual game. Because I've again don't watch a ton of basketball, but I like still cannot believe that like this year the Boston Celtics are setting a record for like the most threes attempted. They're averaging like they take over 50 a game. It's like people just like are like this isn't that fun. Like this is not that fun to watch. But yeah, I don't know. It's like just seeing the numbers from that USA Canada game, how entertaining this like silly concept of a tournament has been, but it's been very successful so far. Yeah, no, you could definitely see it. Possibility of closing that gap between the two sports.
I got 2 more Four Nations hot takes. This next one, we've seen it. We make fun of it, jabs at it every year. How Hockey Canada overreacts one World Juniors to the next. They way overthink their roster instead of just bringing the best players, bringing the right players. It's like, how can we galaxy brain this to the point that we shoot ourselves in the foot even worse than we did last year? I think it's already been unanimously decided that Tom Wilson will be on Team Canada for the 2026 Winter Olympics because that is the only answer that Canada has to the Bash brothers that are Matthew and Brady Tkachuk.
That's a hot take. I mean, I don't know if they'll overthink this tournament specifically. And I mean, they're in the final, and like they have a very good chance of winning that game against the US.
They're in the top 2 out of 4. Awesome.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying there's like all I'm saying is, especially if they win on Thursday, that there's not really anything to overthink. I would assume it's not like.
Okay, but what if that's without the Tkachuks in the lineup, which is very possible as it sits right now?
I mean, if Tom Wilson makes that Team Canada, it's crazy. I mean, I don't know. You could see him. He would be the mold of player where they're like, yeah, he could play a fourth line role. He's super physical, but he also does have some offensive skill set anyways. Like I think he's up.
Right, he's not a bad player.
Right. It'll be. I mean, we'll see what it looks like by the time the next Olympics rolls around. So all I'm saying is I don't think he should make the team. But I don't know if this, and I don't know if it's this specific, like the Four Nations tournament would be what they would be overreacting to, but I could see them galaxy braining their roster in general. It will be in like next year. It's going to be actually very interesting. The World Juniors, to see if like they stop doing what they've do, like because the last 2 years have been insane. But we'll see if that extends to the men's team.
And that's my point. Like they do this regularly, and there's no shortage of talent. And I don't think they're that worried about their fourth line, right? Like Tom Wilson is not a bad hockey player. Why wouldn't you bring him in for a fear factor? Even though like the fighting won't be a thing because, you know, IIHF sucks and doesn't want to have fun, but you still got to have an answer to those two running around like maniacs, killing people like Drew Doughty. Oh my God, Brady Tkachuk. That was an incredible hit. We loved it. Like you need a response when Charlie McAvoy decides he wants to decapitate Connor McDavid. Like, I don't think it's a crazy hot take. It's there's some spice to it, but it's not outside the realm of possibility, but fair. I'll accept it. The last one is, again, aggressive, but whoever wins on Thursday between USA and Canada, there's an asterisk because there is no Team Russia. And I think even if you have to go full on OAR, Olympic athletes of Russia, pull some kind of side thing, it'd be such a good money grab for the NHL to host something like in August, kind of like they did with that bizarre World Juniors that they had. That was probably the worst we've seen the U.S. ever do.
Worst tournament of all time.
It was not a fun tournament, but you could have a one-game matchup between whoever wins and the best assembly of Russian players you can get. People absolutely tune in. It'll be the only sport going on at that time. There's got to be some version of the champion of this versus the Russian athletes. Gary won't let it happen, so don't let that bog you down.
No,
like,
I know.
I'm aware that this will not, cannot, isn't going to happen, but it should. The fans need it and deserve it.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't really see a whole lot changing over the next few years either, just given how, you know, things are going. I feel like the one way that they could figure out how to at least get some of the best Russians in the league in that tournament is some kind of like Team Europe thing, and like including the Russians, where it's like that might be a superstar team. It's like,
but I think that goes even more poorly. You think the other European nations want to like work with Russia as Europe? I think they'd rather play against them.
Yeah, like, true. No, it's very true. That's what it's just like. I just trying to figure out a way to like basically get Kaprizov in this tournament. I
do think a Team Europe concept would be awesome though, because you look at like a couple of the studs for Germany. Like there's three that come to mind right away with Draisaitl, Stützle, and Seider. You've got guys that like play onesie twosie, like whether it's guys like Marco Rossi in Austria, you got Swiss players. Like I don't think that you have enough NHL players to make a Czech team or a Slovak team. You could come up with an insane roster if you lumped a lot of those together. Call it non-Scandinavia, call it mainland Europe. I don't know what you want to call it, but like that could be an interesting wrinkle, even though a lot of people hated that and Team North America, which I thought Team North America was like the coolest thing ever, especially because the jerseys rocked.
I think the people that like would like always talk trash about that whole concept or whatever are some of the biggest haters on the planet for like hockey. And I was like, bro, we had nothing else. Like there was no other options. They weren't going to the Olympics.
Right now, like, having Celebrini and Bedard down the middle, having Brock Faber like as a cornerstone on that blue line, like that just sounds like a lot of fun to me.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could have understood just given like when you first looked at the roster, it was kind of like this is an interesting like Team Europe. I get why people were like, all right, come on, but like Team North America, whatever people were talking trash about, I was like, bro, that was unbelievable. That was one of the funnest assembly. Like they assembled one of the funnest hockey teams that we've ever seen.
Like it was ridiculous.
Like, David, like it was crazy. But you know, people just have to. We can't be happy.
No, can never be happy. All right, last one here that is not international, Four Nations, whatever related. I feel like you and I have talked about this off camera. I don't think we've ever gotten into it on Judd's Buds. I want, and it kind of goes off of what we talked about last week with like, crowdfunding for players, like the kid offering to give his piggy bank to Rantanen. I think it would be awesome. I don't think it'll happen, but it'd be awesome to have 2 jersey patches for players for sponsorships. One that the team gets paid for and you throw it on one spot. One that's reserved for individual players. So you could pay Connor McDavid $2 million to wear whatever your logo is on his jersey. And everyone is going to see that whenever there's a Connor McDavid highlight. Whenever a jersey for Connor McDavid is sold, that patch is on there. Heck, if you wanted to go the cheaper route and like maybe there's some like grape company that wants to go to Jakob Lauko and be like, hey, we'll give you $100K. Throw this on your shoulder, call it good. And he's like, yes, please. Like, let's do it. But it's just like, it's one, cool because it shows individuality for all the players. If there's like a brand that you care about or something that resonates with you. 2, that's extra money that goes towards them that might help if they aren't getting the money they want to be in a market, but that sponsor is dedicated to them being there. Like think about Target or Quick Trip, like going all in, trying to get a guy to stay in Minnesota. Like that just sounds fun to me. I don't know. Like overall concept, again, I don't expect it to happen, but what do you think of the overall concept?
I like it, dude. Like, I mean, I would, if the last drop gave me $50, I'd be like, yeah, right. Put it right over my heart, dude. It's who I am. Man. I basically live here.
Who is the player for the Bruins that would be most likely to throw the last drop on their jersey?
Well, it used to be Tuukka because he would go. Right now, which one of them? I feel like Mark Kastelik would love the drop. I mean, he's just running around like a lunatic. Yeah, I'll go Kastelik. No, but either way, I mean, I like it. I would admit, like, I'm now laughing thinking about like the logistics behind it and how, because like, I mean, first of all, you know, just the NHL in general would find a way to ruin that, but like how many different companies they're gonna have to like all right, what is this one? Like if there's like some like niche where they're like, hey, what is this?
And how I want to see the full write-up and details of the rules for acceptable sponsors. Like you know that there's a player that would be like, hey, Pornhub's willing to give me $3 million, and they're like, nope.
Like,
nope. like that would be very interesting. There's a drug cartel that's willing to cover someone. But, I don't know. That could get really, really interesting. But I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, I could see some of the players absolutely getting themselves in trouble with this. Like, bro, come on. You knew that was never going to be okay.
You know what, though? That's part of it, too. It's like, let's let people expose themselves for being absolute idiots and get in trouble for it. But it's a fun thing to, like, give individuality to players. It's a talking point for us. Like, every year we'd have one show dedicated to talking about, like, oh, shit, like, what's the player patch going to be this year for each guy? Like,
hell yeah.
I'm in.
It
sounds fun. I've been in on it for a while. I just haven't gotten many people to bite with me. So, all right, you'll ride with me.
Who would have the most boring one? Probably McDavid. He'd just do something boring. Some giant company.
You know what, dude?
Like a ton of money.
I hate to be mean, but like you and I, it was probably like a year and a half ago. Do you remember the nickname that we gave Matt Boldy?
No.
Matty Cheese Pizza. Like just the most vanilla, like run of the mill guy. I could see him having a really boring one.
Yeah, he'd probably do something like golf related, to be honest with you.
I mean, Faber would be Waggle for sure.
Yeah,
otherwise I would have said Faber, but like,
or Faber just have the state of Minnesota. Like it would just, that would be like, yeah, just Minnesota. Like, yeah, but like what he's like, no, just Minnesota.
Dude, I want to know who is the player that is most likely to pull the Ricky Bobby and have the me car? Switches from Wonder Bread to he's like, what's M-E? That me. That's you, Ricky. That's you. Who is the player that would throw their face on? Or even better, nope, I've got it now. Kirill Kaprizov doesn't want the money because, Leopold has already said that he will throw whatever he needs to at him. He would for sure just have a big blown up smiling Zuki face. Zuccarello would be his sponsor.
I hate how likely that actually. It's actually the most likely scenario.
It's so plausible. It's so plausible. I love
plausible. It. Yeah. He would literally have Zuccarello's face.
Oh.
Do they get to choose where they put the patch?
I mean, no, it definitely wouldn't be a blanket, put it wherever you want, but I could see there being like, okay, you can pick one of these 3 spots, maybe. Okay. I don't know.
Yeah. Fair.
Actually, you know what? I think the move would be instead of the jersey, you put it on the breezers or something.
I was gonna say, but maybe breezers. Yeah.
Do you call them breezers?
No, you do. So I just say pants.
Okay. They're breezers, but I appreciate that you at least like pretend that you're on board with it. Well, there we go. That was a meaty Keyboard Warrior Hot Takes segment. Again, thank you to our incredible friends, Barrel Theory Beer Company. Everyone go check them out. Tap Room, XL Energy Center, wherever your local liquor store is, make sure that you support our awesome friends, Barrel Theory.